Hey there, Algebra 1. Catlin here with your cool down help for lesson 11. And let's jump right into it. We've got this equation here. It's got some decimals in it, so that makes it a little bit tougher to work with, but not too horrible bad. And we got to answer some questions about its equation getting graphed, what its slope is, where it intersects the y-axis. And one thing I didn't really get to talk about as much is finding the x-axis, which we kind of saw a little bit of it the day before. So maybe you can make that connection. But if not, I can help you out in this video on how to do it. So let's consider this equation. And one thing that I notice when I see this equation is that there are a pair of halves in front of my x and my y, which, there's nothing wrong with leaving it that way. But working with decimals like that is not as simple as if they were whole numbers. So, like, the first thing that I would do, if this was me, this is not a must. You don't have to do this, and you might have worked it out completely different, and that's fine. But whenever I have an equation like that has 0.5s in it, I find it helpful to double every term and work with those numbers instead. That way I'm dealing with whole numbers instead of, fractionals. So if I double 1.5, that would give me 3x. If I double 4.5, that would give me 9y's. And if I double 18, I get 36. I just like the way that this looks versus that as I'm working with it. Now, that's completely up to you if you want to use that, but essentially what I'm doing there is I am multiplying both sides. I'm sorry, by 2, not 3. I'm multiplying both sides by 2, and that's a fair move. This distributes to that, and this multiplies that and doubles it. Total fair move. So I'm going to use that. It's just going to be finding everything much easier by having it in that format. So the first thing is find the slope. Well, to get the slope and the y-axis, a good thing to do would be to get it where y is by itself. So I'm going to start there. I've got 3x plus 9y equals 36. And I want to get this 3x to go away. I don't want to divide anything yet. But I want to get this 3x on the other side of the equation so my y is kind of left alone on the left side. So a way to do that is to subtract 3x from itself and subtract 3x from the other side. And what that leaves me with is a 9y because these cancel and make nothing. And on the other side, I need to write it all. It's 36 minus 3x. So this is where I've landed after I've done my first step. You can pause this, if you need to go back and see what I said, if I'm going too fast for you as you write. Now, the next thing that I need to do to find slope and y-axis and all this stuff that's handy is get that y by itself. And the thing that's standing in my way now is this multiplication by 9. And I can undo that with a simple division by 9 on this side. But what I do to one side, I must do to the other. And this is something that we talked about in class, is a lot of times you're going to have these big quotients with expressions divided by single numbers like this. And you got to know how to handle this. Okay, it's not that complicated. Okay, every term, every part in the numerator must get divided by 9. Think of distributing that 9 to both with division. Okay, 36 divided by 9 is going to give me my 4 for my first term. And then we got our minus sign, and 3 divided by 9 is the same as writing it like this. But for me, I like to go ahead and simplify that down as 1/3. Okay, I'm doing that simplification as I work. Now, you might want to write that in as an extra step, and that's okay. But I'm going to do it normally and skip that middle step and jump straight to 1/3 because I know that 3/9 reduces to 1/3. All right, but I'm going to leave that in there for this video. But here we go. We got a lot of good information right here. I'm going to go ahead and add the opposite over here. And so I can see that this is negative 1/3 and 4. And this information over here is giving me some stuff that's helpful. I know that my slope is going to be negative 1/3 because of this. Okay. It says for each explain or show your reasoning. This is my shown reasoning over here. Okay. So this is my slope. And then this is my y. We call this the y-intersection or the y-intercept. And that's going to be where it crosses the y-axis. So we know that that is the y-intercept is equal to, when x is 0, y is going to be at 4. Okay, so we can put that down there. And then where does the graph intersect the x-axis? So that's a new one that this really doesn't give you. So we know that y is 4 when x is 0, but where is x when y is 0? So it's kind of like the flip of the script. And you can honestly use this one, but I find it easier to use one of the original equations. I'm going to use the equation that I made here because everything's a whole number. So I'm going to kind of bring that down here. 3x plus 9y equals 36. And actually, let me see if I can scroll up and find a graph that helps prove this point. Maybe I've got one. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to move that down. Move that blur. There we go. Wow, that's cool that I can move things like that. Anyway, so look at this graph. If something crosses the x-axis, think about what its y value is equal to. Like this is where it crosses, so its y value is nothing, and the x is a number. So what we're looking for in this particular problem here is when y is nothing. So we're going to substitute in for y a 0. When y is nothing, what is the value of my x? So this is the setup that I have to find where it intersects the x-axis. And you can do this for the y-axis too. We could have put 0 in for x and found where y crosses. But we're doing it the opposite way to here. So whenever I put that in, that goes away. And 3x is 36. What times 3 is 36? X would cross the axis at 12 when y is 0. So I know that the x-intercept, so to speak, so the x-intersection is going to be equal to at 12, 0. And there we go. There's your help for lesson 11. I hope it made sense. If you got questions, email me, guys. I know we're kind of getting to the end of the 9 weeks here. I want your grades to be good because I know you care about them. Ask me questions, and I'll do my best to help you out. All right, y'all have a good one. See ya.